Hey, welcome back to the channel. Exciting news. So last time I spoke about Wax Lyrical, the exhibition. I gave you a quick introduction as the history and how it came about. Well, I have done my first shoot. The idea is not to create a tutorial, it's more behind the scenes. You can see how I work, because I wanted to stay focused on the subject and actually doing the work, not having to worry about how I look on video and whatnot. So the format of this is definitely a lot more informal, or the style of videography that you'll see from me in this particular series.
I'm a songwriter from Durban, South Africa. I fronted a band called Tree63, which took me all around the world and back again. I live here in Cape Town, now making music, writing songs, writing poetry, reading, playing guitar, performing live, whatever it takes to be creative and stay creative.
So I've put a 200 watt Litemons head up there with a parabolic reflector, and I have the grid in there, and so that's going to be coming down at 45 degrees on our subject's face, so he's going to be more or less over here. So I just need to make sure that I don't lose too much detail on this side. I mean, I don't like flat shots, but at the same time I want there to be sufficient detail on this side. We have a little bit of light coming in there. I will just get a reading in the back just now as well. I'm shooting in black and white, so the warm light that I have there and there I don't mind. Well, it is a practical light, that informs the light in the background. And a little bit of window light over there that also fills this background. And that should give us enough detail in the background to create the separation. But once I take the reading on John's face, I'll know if this light is the right brightness or not. So the kit for today is the Mamiya C33. It sports the 80mm lens, f2.8, one roll of Ilford FP4, I'm on a tripod, so I could possibly go 15th of a second and bring the ISO down a stop. Yeah, let's do that. 15th of a second on a tripod, push it one stop. I like that. The beauty of a TLR is obviously also that it doesn't have mirror slap, so the shutter, when it goes, it's just a click. It won't have any shake or any influence on the stability of the shot, which is actually nice.
Hello Janne, welcome to John Ellis's
Huisie.
And that's as much Afrikaans as I have. On a cold, rainy Cape Town day.
Alrighty, so we have John having some tea. There we go, look at that. And when I took the readings, I saw that's quite a dark shadow to the left. Like I said, I don't mind it, but if I'm going to be pushing film, I don't want to push the limitations of what we're going to get in contrast. So I'm just filling it in with the reflector, and that makes quite a difference. If he comes forward a little bit, there we go, we can see now there's a little bit of fill just coming from that. But yeah, let's start playing. We're on the first frame. Like I said, I'm going to push at a stop, shoot at a 15th of a second, which is quite slow, f2.8. So there's two things that can go wrong, and that is we can get motion blur. Luckily, like I said, it's a TLR, so we don't have mirror slap on the camera. And also just focusing through these old prism viewfinders, they're sometimes a bit dark, as is this one. So you need to be really, really sharp. Excuse the pun. Anyways, let's go. Just do that, just as you are with a cat, just lean there and your cup of tea. That's, oh, you can stand where you were. That's actually standing as well. There we go. Right. Okay.
Hello, cat. You are the most famous beautiful cat.
Here we go. And so Wax Lyrical 2024 kicks off. That was the first frame. There we go. Well, yay for the first frame. I really like the composition. I like the emotion. I love cats, so, you know. But it is not sharp. I missed focus just somewhat, so his face is not sharp, unfortunately.
Look. Look. See? Perfect portrait.
Well, there we go. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I did move the light. It might have moved 5 centimeters closer, but that's fine. You might not see it here, but there's a beautiful Telecaster in the back there. I'm going to put some light on it, and I think I have a little, yes, I have a little Smallrig light, and I am just going to fill it in on the back. Let's see. Feels like you're guessing oftentimes with this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like putting microphones in front of amplifiers. You just...
Yeah. And then people say, oh, I want it exactly the same as last time. And you're like, yeah. I am going to bring this closer, because I am cropping a lot closer than I thought. So.
Are you getting, you're not full body, you're more like here?
Yeah, more like sort of just below there.
Because I'm trying to lose this. If you can help me lose it in the photograph.
Oh, no worries. That's while you're wearing black, you obviously know the tricks. All right. Okay, so let's get a stare down right into the camera.
The scarf? I don't know.
I like the scarf. It's cool. That's another one.
2 down, people.
2 down. Again, I really like the frame. I like the pose. I like the lighting. Except that little light in the background. The cat decided to sit down in front of it, so it didn't have much effect on the telecast in the background. Focus was better, but I did find that I had a little bit more focus on his arms than I did on his eyes, and medium format at f2.8 is not particularly forgiving in terms of focus. But if you're going to sharpen it in post a little bit, you can get away with it. You can move a little bit to your right. Lovely. 3. We're on a roll. I like this frame. I really like how John sort of positions himself for the camera, the way he orientates himself. It's nice and strong. He's covering the guitar in the background now, but that little light still just gives a bit of light onto that ladder. I don't mind his head crossing the light shade in the back. That's not a big issue for me. Also, you realize how much separation 2.8 with medium format gives you. I mean, it's almost a little bit too out of focus in the background, but the separation that it creates is really nice. I do like that. We are quite close to him with a 50mm. I don't want to get too close when I'm shooting with it's not a 50mm, 80mm, because I don't want to create distortion, even though it's a standard focal length. When you get too close, in my view, there's a bit of distortion on a portrait, which I don't like, but sort of midriff, close crop, that's perfect. And what I'm seeing here is stunning. So let's have a look. There we go. That's lovely. This turned out to be my favorite of the portraits of John with the Mamiya. I really do like the shot. I like how the window light creates almost like a little bit of a rim light on the shadow side of his face, and just the separation and everything. I love the balance of the shot. Very pleased. Just lift your chin a little bit. I want to get a catch light in the eye. There we go. Even though I really like this frame, the focus is definitely spot on. I think I prefer the crop just below the arms like the previous shot. Okay, so while I have John here, I thought let's quickly do a shot with the FD 85mm 1.8 on the Canon R5. I did a video a while back on this lens, a review, so I'll link it down below or somewhere. Lovely portrait lens. This frame I used the Dehancer film simulation plugin in Photoshop, and I used the HP5 simulation just to sort of keep the style the same. It unfortunately doesn't have an FP4 simulation. I wonder if you shouldn't for this one hold the, there we go, hold that guitar.
Yeah. Should I put it on the strap?
Yeah, I think like you're kind of just hugging it type of thing. There we go. I like this frame in color. There's a nice warmth to it, almost filmic. But I also like the HP5 simulation from Dehancer. And just look up with your eyes. Black and white is always striking, but I also like the color, and the warm light can be attributed to the tungsten lights. That's normally about 3000 Kelvin that added to the ambient light in the picture. So we've got John in a nice seat here. I'm actually not using my big 200 watt light now. I'm using the tungsten bulb he's got there, that Edison bulb. And then I've got a small little light at the back just to lift the background a little bit. We're shooting black and white, so the color temperature doesn't matter. Okay, you can.
What do you want to do?
Like what you were doing now is cool. Yeah, that's.
Just like the feet up, the whole
That's no, the whole thing, man. That's
Really?
yeah, exactly.
Just play.
That's it. You just. My biggest challenge is getting focused. So. As much as I do like this frame and the lighting, the focus unfortunately was more on the body of the guitar and less on the face. So his eyes are soft in the shots, but I mean, if the vibe is still there, I still like them. Unfortunately, this also turned out to be the last image on this roll. I've watched through the behind the scenes video, the rest of it, and I cannot figure out what had happened, but the next 3 frames were absolutely blank and not double exposed, so it wasn't a setting issue, just blank. So that was a bit of a bummer. So this ended up being the last frame on this roll.
I must tell you about 363. I'm actually starting it again. Someone said to me, people when they hear these songs, don't you want to play them again? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do some shows.
Oh, fantastic.
If you want to shoot them.
Oh, yeah. So I was really fortunate that John shared with me that 363 might be starting up again after like more than 10 years. And literally during the edit of this video, this very past Sunday, I attended the very first concert. I took my Canon R along with the old 50mm 1.8, the kit lens. I just had a great time shooting and just enjoying the show. It was a great show. All right, so we're jumping to the R5. This time I've got the 50mm 1.8, the NFD, the newer FD. So it's the straight bayonet mount, not the breech lock. I'm going to shoot at 1.8, just keep it as wide as possible. I'm going to do the same setup that I did with the C33 a moment ago. Alrighty. Okay, you just do yourself.
You be you.
You be you. So to retain the warmth of the Edison lamp, I set my camera's white balance to 5000 Kelvin just to get that warm feeling from the Edison lamp. And I really love it. And look straight at camera. So I'm deliberately going for a little bit of flare now. And what's nice at this from that light, the Edison light, so what I'm getting is flare, but it hazes. So it's like a gradiated haze, which is quite nice. There you go, look at your hands as you're playing. There we go. Getting into unusual positions definitely does pay off. It's worthwhile looking for those different angles. I love these. Cool.
Happy.
At this point, we proceeded to John's studio, where I set up really just for a short interview, but I took a couple of stills with a Canon R6 and the 28mm, the Canon FD 28mm f2.8. And actually one of these portraits was used for his mailer promoting his new show. I then proceeded to have a very short, call it a conversation with John
about creativity and his thoughts on the various aspects of it.
Creativity is a strange thing. It's something you go looking for and you wait for, and it doesn't seem to arrive, and then when you're not looking for it, it suddenly arrives. It seems to me the older I get, the harder you work at it, the longer it sticks around, and the more likely it is to show up, that inspiration. Inspiration, I think you can sit around waiting for it and it never arrives, because I think the romantic idea of an artist is you just be inspired all the time by something outside of yourself. Meantime, everything we need as creative people is already in us. And working hard to pull it out of yourself, sitting working at something. You might spend a day working and produce 100% worth of stuff. 90% of it might not be worth keeping, but 90% informs the 10% that is worth keeping. So there's an element of work which I've avoided for a long time. I don't like the idea of having to work to create. You want to be inspired rather, but actually it turns out you chip away at it and you get that 10% and it's worth the whole time you spend looking for it. So inspiration is something that comes with years and years of sitting there working away at it, I think. Creativity is something I can't seem to avoid. It's on all the time. I'm a creative person, always creating. I've tried to turn it off, I've tried to flip the switch, I've tried to stagger it so it only appears at certain times, but it turns out something in my mind is creating and composing and writing and thinking and framing 24/7. It's something, sometimes maybe creative people are born to do that thing. And if we try and suppress that, we get in trouble, mental health wise or emotionally, physically. We are born to, I think we're all born to create, but especially those of us who have spent our lives focusing on it. It's something that you can't turn off, it's something you can't ignore, it's something you can't package. It's who you are as a human being. If we, as creative people, do not obey the calling we feel in our lives, in our hearts, in our minds, we're in danger of hurting ourselves. Especially mental health wise, there's something in us that knows that creativity is a healthy way to express who we are, what we think we are, what we hope to be. And if we ignore that and put it on the side and think it's not worth our time or attention because it doesn't generally seem to generate any money or income or doesn't seem worth our time, we are in trouble of, we could hurt ourselves. We've got to obey that voice, we've got to listen, we've got to go wherever that voice takes us. Because usually it's going to take us somewhere safe and somewhere we've always meant to be.